Self-love is all the buzz nowadays. And as a Christian life coach who is very passionate about helping women learn to love themselves and see themselves the way that Jesus sees them, culture's version of self-love and Jesus-centered self-love can look very similar on the outside. But if you were to dig a little deeper and look under the surface, they are very different and they lead to very different results. In this video, I'm going to talk about why self-love is actually pretty surface level and how to actually dig into something much deeper and much better. If you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. That way you can be notified every time I release a new video on how to change the relationship with yourself, God, and others. I help women leaders break free from doing more, trying harder, trying to fix themselves and change their behavior, and learn how to tap into that internal peace and confidence and strength and freedom. And we do this by teaching them how to love themselves the way that God already loves them. One of the things that I like to say is it's all fun and games until we throw in the Jesus factor, because that variable makes all the difference. It changes everything. And as Christians, if we believe that Jesus is love, then it would make sense that we look to him as the example. We look to him as the definition of love. We look to him as our answer and our guide and our measuring stick. Without Jesus, self-love goes off the rails. It has no boundaries because it comes from limited, flawed human perspective. It comes from this place of hurting, flawed, imperfect humans trying to help themselves, trying to do the best they can to heal themselves, trying to do what they can to cope in this world. When we take Jesus out of the equation, it is like the kids are driving the car. The kids are driving unsupervised. They are driving without direction and without guidance, and that is scary. Another analogy I like to use is when you have a dirty rag and you're trying to clean a dirty table, it might help a little bit, but it's gonna be incomplete. We need something outside of us. We need the source of clean, pure water to clean our rag so that we can also clean the table. And this is kind of what it's like when we take Jesus out of the perspective of self-love. We need his perfect, complete, unconditional love to not only teach us and guide us on how to love ourselves, but first and foremost, to allow us to receive and to experience perfect love. So tell me, have you ever experienced self-love in a way that sounded good and maybe even felt good in the short term, but long term didn't last? It ended up being incomplete. Let me know in the comments. The turning point is often counterintuitive and countercultural because it requires us to humble ourselves and acknowledge our need for a savior. And so I have found that humans typically go one of two ways. Number one, we try to fix it ourselves, which is a form of pride. It might look like, looking at your shortcomings and your insecurities and your brokenness and your dependency on a savior. That creates a level of vulnerability, and we don't always like that. Our egos take a hit with that. And so what do? We try to squirm out of that discomfort, and we do that by trying to fix it ourselves, by trying to clean ourselves up before we go to God. Not only does our ego not like this, but also it goes against everything our culture is saying about loving ourselves. Or we go the direction of self-deprecation. We stay stuck. We stay stuck in our sin and our shame, and we kind of indulge in it. We choose not to receive God's forgiveness and his grace and his mercy and his love for us so that we can keep going. We have to acknowledge our brokenness before we can receive the fullness of his wholeness. You can't have the freedom and the joy and the love of the resurrection before you've acknowledged the depth and the pain of the crucifixion, because it's a huge gap, and his love filled that gap for you and for me. That's kind of the point. That's kind of the punchline. And that overwhelming grace and overwhelming love is what moves us and what gives us what we need to bounce back and move forward and even attempt at loving ourselves. Given this perspective, self-love seems pretty limited, doesn't it? And it seems pretty silly to think that we can even attempt to love ourselves on the same level and the same depth and the same fullness that He already loves us. He went first. We love because He first loved us. And it's without His perfect love, there is no self-love. So don't settle for the surface level self-love. Go for the big thing, the deep thing, the overwhelming, unending thing. Because through this process, through His example, He teaches us how to love ourselves properly and with the right perspective. Self-love becomes rooted in His love and not our own effort and our own limited perspective. If this video hit a chord in you and you are ready to start seeing and loving yourself the way God sees you and God already loves you, then a great place to start is to download my video series called Changing the Relationship with Yourself. And we can start pulling the layers back so you can access that deeper love that He has for you. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos just like it.